Oh, there we go. I'm here. Thank you. Off you go. Bed, bed, bed. Sorry, my little one coming downstairs. No. Bed, please. You have been good and staying in bed. As soon as I hit live.
You using our chair? Why are you using my chair?
I'm borrowing it while you're in bed. Go. I am so sorry. This is the exact reason why I wanted to do a test live. Because things always go wrong, right? Always go wrong. Oh, kids. Oh, dear. You're starting your venture and stress. Absolute stress. So this is purely to get to grips with the technology, and so I know what I'm doing. And obviously, start off with no camera, interrupted by children who should be asleep. Like I said in my intro video, my life is chaos. It's absolute chaos. Anyone else have a clue what's going on? Hopefully I should have a friend popping in to test the link to make sure that I can do interviews and have these live features. This is all new, absolutely new technology to me. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I don't want to boomer my way through an interview. I really don't. I want to. Being polished isn't a huge deal. Being a little bit raw and learning my way through this in front of you is absolutely fine, because we all start somewhere. And one of the things about taking in creativity and doing something new is it's a learning experience. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It doesn't matter if it takes you a little bit of time, but I do want you to be able to see my face and hear me. Those are two of the main things. I also want you to be able to see the other person's face who I'm talking to, and to be able to hear them. That would be nice. It is just a nightmare. Just a nightmare. So I think I know roughly what I'm doing. Please bear with me. Please stick with it. Honestly, I will get better at this. I will. For those of you who don't know me, I'm not sure if any of my subscribers right now don't know me. My name is Andy. I run a little company called Satin Held Fiber Arts, where I teach, make, design all things crochet, Tunisian crochet. I do a bit of knot binding. I knit. And I teach those things to the basics of knot binding, but I teach all of the other things. And I really enjoy it. And I have realized over the last few years that when I don't have that creative outlet, I really suffer in terms of my mental health. If I don't have a project on the go, I feel terrible. And in the last year, just over a year, we lost both of my parents. And of course, we've all lived through a pandemic and everything else. And honestly, I would have been nowhere, absolutely nowhere. I'm not quite sure how I would have got through everything that's happened without being creative and having that outlet. And I know I'm not alone. I genuinely, I know more people than not that have either really, really fallen back on their creativity and gone back to that as a way of grounding themselves, as a way of being positive, or who have become more involved in that over the pandemic, being, isolating or having to work from home and needing that part of their lives. And it's all creativity. It's also consuming other people's creativity. Binge watching shows for that comfort, or whatever it might be. Turning to music and podcasts. I've definitely over the last year got more heavily involved in listening to podcasts. It's pretty much the only way I can fall asleep is by having a podcast on. And I go back each night. I go back through the episodes. Where did I fall asleep? And go from there again, because I don't want to miss any, but I need that in the background. And it's consuming someone else's art form, someone else's creativity. All of that hard work of everyone that's involved in producing that, or producing film, producing a TV series. So we're going to be exploring all of those things, along with a lot of other topics. I definitely want to have a chat with you all about the link between creativity and different genres of TV shows and podcasts and things like that. There is definitely a link between people who do fiber arts, crochet, knitting, whatever it might be, and people who like true crime. I don't know why, and I want to explore that. I want to get your views on that. It's the same with conspiracy theories and aliens and all of those things. There are links there. What is that link? Why have we got that link? And is it because as people we find we need something deep, and something's going to force us to think deeply about things? Is it because we need to be able to give up control? These things are out of our control. So I'd be interested in your views on that. I am very quickly going to see if my friend is available to come test. Sorry. Oh, I can't spell. I can't do two things at once. I can do two things at once, but obviously type and be present are not the same thing. Not something I can do. Yeah, I think that is pretty much in a nutshell what I'm looking to do. I'd also like to introduce you to other forms of creativity, and maybe change the way we think about creativity. A lot of people think that it's got to be a craft, got to make it with your hands. I don't think it is. It's more about art and creativity. So for me, if you knit something or you crochet something, or you're a blacksmith or a woodworker, that is still art. It's functional art, but it is art. You've put your soul into that. Even if you're following an embroidery pattern, or you're painting a miniature the same way as it looks on an example online, you are still putting your flair on it. You're still adding highlights or shading, or your choice of color. So really, it's about all creativity, all art. I'm going to add Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Thank you.
Hello. How are you?
How are you doing? I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
A warm, sunny day here in Texas.
It's been pretty warm here, but I don't think it's been Texas warm. Also, I'm going to fall back on what I normally say. We don't have air conditioning here, so it's obviously it's hotter in England because we don't have aircon.
Right, of course.
How's the weaving coming along?
It's good. I am on placemat number 2.
Hey, that is coming along really fast. I can't believe
Kind of had
how
all day to
fast you
work
can
on
make
it.
something. Yeah, even so, weaving once the setup for weaving is really a long-winded process. There's lots of steps to setting it up, but once it's set up, you just whiz through a project,
Yes.
and it blows my mind every time.
Yes, I love that part of it, that at least like once it's all in the loom, you can just, it's fun. It's all fun
Just
and fast and all dopamine and payoff.
Is it worth the trade-off? I mean, obviously it is, because this isn't the first project you've made, but I just want to, because I've always wondered, is it worth all of those hours of setting everything up, of warping, of measuring, of putting each thread through the heddles and across the loom and everything else? Is it worth that dopamine payoff?
It is absolutely worth it, especially once the setup process stops being so stressful, because you've got practiced at it. Like it didn't seem worth it at first because I was so stressed about how I was screwing it up, or like I was running into problems along the way. But now that I don't run into those nearly so often, it's not so bad.
It's that dopamine hit as things come together. There is nothing quite like that feeling of achievement, of accomplishment, of watching that pattern come together and seeing this, all of these single threads come together into an actual thing.
Yes, it is really nice. It's all like getting to see the pattern coming through, and just the inches like going onto the loom so quickly. I don't know. It's awesome. I don't have to weave in a bunch of yarn ends either, so I get to avoid that whole process.
Yeah, that is probably my least favorite thing, is weaving in ends. If I can make a project as one piece, I do, because I hate weaving in ends. I don't mind weaving as a go so much, but lots and lots of color changes. A friend of mine made some socks, and every other row was a change in color.
Oh,
so
no.
They had yarn ends on either side of the sock all the way up.
Wow.
Or was it a pair of gloves? It was either socks or gloves. I can't remember now. And I looked at that, and I think internally my head exploded a little bit of how stressful that looked to me.
Yeah, I think I just wouldn't do that project. Like, I just, knowing myself, I would be like, no, I'd end up with a sock with a bunch of like woolly yarn ends hanging out of it, because I would just never sew them in. Just.
Yeah. I think I would just not, I'd finish the sock, because it needed the yarn ends sewn in, and then it's sewn together. And I think for me, I would have got to the point where, yeah, that's a really nice sock, I love it, but I'm done. I'm not sewing these in. I'm not sewing it up. I will never wear them.
Yep.
But again, I know other people that really love weaving in ends and get a real satisfaction from it.
I need to find those people so that they can do my yarn ends for me.
There are people in the UK, I've seen it on Facebook groups and things like that, where they volunteer their services. And it's the same with if you end up with a ball of yarn that just becomes spaghetti and knotted up and everything else. If you post it to them, they will sort it all out, unknot it, and ball it back up and send it back to you, because they love it so much.
Amazing. That's amazing.
If
Yep.
that's how they get their dopamine high, I am all for it.
Sure.
You get those, but me, no. No.
One of the very first big crochet projects I did was this massive granny square Afghan, and it was like a sampler so that you could like learn a bunch of different stitches, and every row was a different color, which like for the larger rows, like fine, but it did end up with a lot of yarn ends, and that was before I knew how much I hated yarn ends. And I thought I had gone back in and sewn them all in. And then my daughter recently got that blanket out for some reason. And I was like, oh, that's just full of yarn ends. Like, like this Afghan is more than 20 years old. And it just is full of yarn ends. So, you know, that shows you how dedicated I am to not doing them.
Did you basically put it in the naughty corner? You put it in a timeout for 20 years because of those yarn ends?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I know I must have like used it before. It's not like I haven't seen it. I just like at one point I got it back out and I was like, I'm going to do these yarn ends. I'm going to just do it. And so I started weaving them in, and I thought I had finished, but apparently I didn't get all the way through with it, and I had just put it back away. This is probably a year ago, is that I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sew all these yarn ends in. I thought I finished, and I guess I didn't.
So funny. I think we've all got projects like that. And again, it doesn't necessarily come down to fibercraft. I think we've all got projects where we kind of, you know, I thought I'd finished that. You clear out your craft cupboard or go through some random box and you find it and you think, oh, what do I do with this now?
Right?
Do I go back to it, or? And I think sometimes that's such a hill to climb.
It is. It is.
Just making that decision is a hill to climb.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
So I'm going to because your weaving is on TikTok.
Yes. Yeah, by the way, I didn't even ask if it's okay that I'm weaving while we're having this conversation.
Of course, we are all about craft. See, I really can't type and talk and be present at the same time.
It's hard to do. Taking a lot of practice in Zoom meetings at work.
It's weaving noob, isn't it?
I am a weaving noob. Also, I am at weaving noob on TikTok.
That's what I was asking, because I have a little banner now that says follow Amanda on TikTok.
Yay!
Because that also helps me test out a feature.
There you go. Yeah. I put all my noob projects on there because I am definitely new to this craft. You wouldn't guess that by the number of looms that I own and have owned. But I'm still pretty new.
But the thing is, I mean, you've found something you're really passionate about. Over the time that we've known each other, I mean, you're creative in a lot of different ways with music and other things as well. But we originally started talking about crochet and knitting. And although you still do those things, you knit more often than you crochet, as far as I know. But weaving is really your passion. You've found that passion.
Definitely.
Which is a really wonderful thing to have found.
It is really nice to finally have something that clicks and you know, I can enjoy. It's not been just a fad, you know. It's not one of those things
Yeah.
that I got into, like, you know. So I have ADD, and sometimes people with ADD just go deep on a particular craft and then buy all the supplies and then don't do it anymore. And I did worry that weaving was going to be that for me, so I definitely started out with cheaper you know, looms, but and then when it turned out to not be that, I was like, okay, I can invest in this. And then every time I've invested in a newer, better, bigger thing, I've worried, oh wait, is this going to be the moment that my brain finally decides, never mind.
Yeah.
You've now bought all the things, so you can stop doing this now.
Because brains are weird like that. And I know with ADHD, ADD, it's a higher risk. It is a much higher risk, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I've known plenty of friends that have gone through fads, spent a huge amount of money thinking this is the thing. And they've been super passionate about it for about 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then it goes in a cupboard and they just feel guilt about having spent that money, but they're on to the next thing and they're spending that amount of money again.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I've been there. I have this pile of basket weaving supplies in the corner. And I was like, I swear I'm going to make more baskets. But yeah, I'm glad weaving isn't one of those things for me.
I am too. And I love seeing your projects. And the most satisfying bit for me, the bit that gives me a dopamine rush from your work, is seeing you cut it off the loom.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's like one of the best parts.
That is just so satisfying. And I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why I enjoy that so much. It makes me happy.
As it all just kind of like, you know, it's like it's finished. This is the final, you know, the thing. And it's also scary, you know? It's like, oh gosh, like this is a final, like this is, you can't come back from this. Like once you cut it off, you're done. Like you're making a strong stance and a strong opinion on whether or not you're done.
But it's also, I mean, there must be a scary moment when you wash it for the first time and it shrinks and, you know, quite nerve-wracking, just in case I think if it was me, I'd have an awful lot of anxiety over whether I'd miscalculated the shrinkage or, you know, any number of other things.
Like, is it all just going to, like, am I going to open the washing machine, it's a pile of threads and it's not actually cloth anymore? That goes through my head.
Or what if I open the washing machine and it's all one dirty, horrible color because the colors have run?
Yes. I really should be testing the color fastness, like of my colors more than I do.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm not saying that I would test them because I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't test them at all. I'd just panic about it as they go in the machine and as I open the machine at the end of the cycle.
Yes, absolutely. That is what I do. Yes.
Yeah.
I mostly buy the same brand. And so, you know, hopefully because I've had past luck with the brand that I will continue to have luck. That's my rationale.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
I didn't test it the first time I used the brand, I don't have an excuse for that. But my continued excuse is, well, it's been working.
Yeah, it's been fine up until now.
Yeah, that's what I'll say when it finally fails on me and backfires. I'll be like, well, it was fine up until now.
Do you think we, as a creative person, that sometimes you make your own life harder by not doing these things?
Yes, absolutely. Like, it seems like it would be hard to do these things. Like, right? You don't do them because it sounds like work and it sounds like it's a lot of work for like not a lot of payoff. But absolutely, if you don't do it and then you get the downside that is the reason why people do these things, then yeah, it would have been a lot less work to have just tested it in the first place.
Sometimes that's part of the thrill of the chase, I suppose. It's
like gambling, you know?
Yeah.
I guess.
In quite an expensive way sometimes with materials and
yes.
It could be worse. It could be actual gambling.
True. It'd just be like tossing your money in the drain. Sorry, that's what I relate gambling to.
Not for my grandmother. My father's mum won every time she played the lottery. She won over here in the UK, and it was always £500 or more.
Wow.
I don't know. And it was any form of the games. So whether it was the main kind of lottery where they draw the numbers, or whether it was a scratch card or something like that, she always won, and it was always £500 or more. She was so lucky. Unfortunately, I didn't get that gene. That's why I don't do the lottery.
I mean, fair.
So, yeah.
So I had a bit strip that's marked for all the times I have to change the pattern.
Oh,
so it's
that's a clever
like every
way.
inch I have to do something different. So,
hey, that is a really clever way of doing it. To remind yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Ribbon is cheap enough that here I can show you. Ribbon's cheap enough that I can mark the,
oh, cool.
Basically the pattern number that it changes to, and helps me keep track of it along the way. And I can use it for all 4 of these. And then I don't know, I guess I could save it if I would like tack it to the pattern or something, if I was planning on doing this pattern again. But I don't know in this case that I'm going to do that, but maybe for a future pattern.
That's a really clever way of doing it. Because I'm assuming that unpicking any work, if you go too far, unpicking it is a bit of a, because I'm assuming you have to work the pattern backwards.
Yes. And in the case of this pattern, and in the case of this pattern on this loom, it's not so bad. It could definitely be worse. But other pattern, like, so this pattern is basically just like 2 petals back and forth for an inch, and then a different 2 petals back and forth for an inch, and that's it. But other patterns would be a lot harder to back up on.
I am blown away by these little cheats that, it's not really a cheat, but these little aids that people come up with to help them with that kind of thing. I think that is an absolute genius idea.
I thought I was going to be all into the app. There's an app that can help you track where you are in the treadling, and I thought I was going to be really into that, and then I wasn't, and I was confused, like, because I thought I'm really just into technology solutions for things, and this analog solution has been so much better. It's been surprising to me.
Sometimes the old ways are the best.
Yeah,
I'm one of those people that I see these really cool apps, but they don't quite do what I want them to do. They don't quite meet all of my criteria, and I fall out of love with them very quickly. The only one that I've stuck to is iHour.
Mm-hmm.
And even then I have to kind of remind myself to pick that up, because I sit down and start working on something, and it's not until I've been working for however long that I kind of go, I should have logged this. I should have thought about this.
I am very consistent in my eye hour usage, and I like it. But I'm a big numbers person. I really like seeing or thinking about oh yeah, I've got like so many hours on this loom. Like it'll be a really interesting moment for me when I pass up number of hours on this new loom gets to be more than the number of hours I spent on my old loom. Be interested to, I don't know, check in with myself and see how it feels at that time.
Yeah, see, I like those numbers going up. I really do. I like, maybe it's just I'm in competition with myself. But I like seeing kind of at least a consistency with how many hours I'm spending doing things in each month or each week, or, I certainly want to do more this year than I did last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. Oh,
All right.
that's all right. Sorry, the dog has just backed into the table and sent it flying. Yeah, having something like that where you keep track of it is, so at the moment I'm making 2 identical dresses, and I'm looking at how long the first one took me, because I was writing the pattern for it as I was going, and then how long the second one's taking me. And the second one is always quicker anyway. Mm-hmm. But I kind of went, right, I want to make this in 12 hours instead of 16 kind of thing, which is really stupid. I'm in competition with myself.
That's the only person you should ever be in competition with.
You're not wrong. But it's funny how I come up with these, because they are completely useless competitions.
Sure, yeah.
They don't mean anything. But I'm still in competition and I still want to win. So how far have you got on your second placemat?
I'm only 4 inches in.
It's not bad.
Yeah, when we started on the stream, I was unpicking some, so I had to go backwards and then go forwards again.
Sometimes you've got to take a step back to leap forwards.
Yeah, I had a broken warp thread that broke very early on in the process of weaving the first one. And so I had a replacement warp thread in place. And I forgot that I was going to switch it back onto the warp thread that's on the back beam for this second placemat. And so I wove an inch or so, and then went, oh, right, I was going to switch back because I don't have enough, the temporary thread, I didn't have enough to finish out the whole work anyway. So I might as well use what's on the back beam. So I backed it up so that I could put the temporary thread on and, take the temporary thread off.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it sounds completely logical that you just get into a rhythm of it. You get into being in the moment of what you're doing, that kind of future step gets lost in that.
Yep, definitely. It just was oh, and now I start the next one because that's the next step, right?
Yeah.
Which reminded me I needed to take the needle out that was holding that thread in place. You have to tack it tack the new thread onto the loom, onto the weaving to hold the tension until the fabric can hold the tension.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
What else do you need to test for your stream?
I am. I'm trying to work out how to. I think I can do it this way. Sorry, I'm trying to find you on TikTok so I can. Because I want to try and link you. Oh, Husker. Sorry. The dog has decided now is a good time to be an idiot. Obviously.
What better
That
time?
seems totally legit.
No. Oscar, no.
Can't find you on TikTok, so I will try and add a comment later. Husker, I don't want your ball. I don't want it. It's not playtime. I'm trying to think what else I need to test.
Oscar.
I think that's everything. To be honest with you, Amanda, I think.
Awesome.
Excuse me, coughing into the microphone there. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for dropping by
Oscar.
and sharing a bit of your weaving story. At some stage, I would like to talk to you properly about how you got into weaving and what it means to you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You can say no, it's fine. But thank you so much for dropping in. Really, really appreciate your time. And hopefully I
fun.
won't have so much of an issue getting it all up and running. I really didn't know what I was doing for the first 5 minutes. So thank you. And it has been fun. It is always nice to talk to you about crafty stuff.
Yeah, you too.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know whether you can remove yourself, but I can remove
I can.
you.
I can
You
remove
can.
myself.
All right. Thank you
Bye.
very much. I'll speak to you soon. Oh, she's such a sweetheart. And honestly, her creativity is amazing. So do go to TikTok, look up Weaving Noob. Her creations are wonderful. I absolutely adore them. And hopefully we'll be able to talk to Amanda at another stage more about her journey. Hopefully my next live will be on Monday, and I'll be talking to a musician called Benny from just outside of London, and his journey not only with music but other creativity as well. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll speak to you soon.